Hey everyone, thanks for coming. My name is CJ Fant. I'm going to be the moderator for tonight. This is part of a group project that some of my friends and I are doing in one of our classes, but also this is kind of to raise awareness and have some good conversation about this stuff. So just as housekeeping type stuff, I'm going to ask kind of a major question, and then our three panelists are all going to have a chance to answer that. And then after every one of those questions, there's going to be a chance for you guys to respond. If you have any questions about what the speakers said, or if there's something that you want them to elaborate more on, I'm sure they're willing to do that. So to start out, I'm going to let our three speakers introduce themselves, and we can start with one closest to me, and then just explain who you are and what you do, and I guess maybe why you're excited to talk. Is that okay? Trying to throw that curveball your way?
Hi, I'm Dr. Bell. I am an assistant professor of media studies and director of graduate studies in communication here at UCCS. And I'm excited to speak because this is what I do.
My name is Halston Leeser. I'm an undergrad here at UCCS. I'm studying strategic and organizational communication, but West, Women and Ethnic Studies is my minor. And my main focus within West is typically looking at proper sex education. So this is definitely something right up my alley where most of my research goes.
My name is Claire Chadwick. I'm the Community Outreach Coordinator over at TESSA, which is the local resource for intimate partner violence and sexual violence. I think this is kind of what I do all day. I love talking about these issues, raising awareness, with a particular focus on kind of how media influences a lot of these behaviors in our culture.
Well, thank you three for being here as well. So I think we're just going to start with the first question. So the questions we have for you, the first one is kind of thinking about, we're talking about the intersection of sex, media, and consumption, and our subtopic is deviant and normalized sexual mores, and kind of what's normalized and what's viewed as deviant in media. And so kind of the first question is just real general. What is portrayed as normal sexuality versus deviant sexuality in the media? And how does this portrayal shape societal views towards deviant sexuality? And I'm going to let anyone who wants to jump in. Do we have extra copies of these?
Yeah, that's
I'm gonna,
do you have
So they
your
can
pages?
read them.
I'm gonna call a couple of points of order before I answer.
Okay.
Number one, there is no the media. Number two, when you're asking a question about media, my first response is, what media are you talking about? Because the answer varies depending on which medium you're referring to. Media do not all operate in the same way. Television is not the same thing as film, which is not the same thing as video games, which is not the same thing as music, which is not the same thing as comic books, which is not the same thing as popular literature. So, which media you're referring to, which medium you're referring to is pretty vital to the conversation. Primarily because different media get to operate in different ways. What counts as deviant on film is certainly not the same thing that counts as deviant in a video game, where I might drive my car up onto a sidewalk, punch a hooker in the face, have sex with her on the side of the road, and then run her over with the car. There are video games that allow you to do that. That's vastly more deviant than even an R-rated film would allow to have happen. That's the reason why we can't use the term media as a blanket term, because there are different standards for different forms of media. So I would say, sort of on a scale, on the low side of deviance tolerance, shall we say, is going to be television. Television is going to be the lowest side of the deviance tolerance spectrum. You can get away with just about nothing on commercial broadcast television. The farther you go into something, the more you're allowed. The primary reason for that is when we talk about media, one of the things I stress over and over to my students is if you're not paying for it, you're not the customer, you're the product. Commercial television doesn't exist to provide you with entertainment. Commercial television provides you with entertainment to deliver you to advertisers, because that's who pay the bills. And advertisers do not want to see deviance surrounding their products. So you get away with an awful lot less. In a film, you get away with more because the audience is actually paying for it. And so, in that respect, whatever counts as deviant gets to exist in a much larger form. And then once you get into niche markets like comic books and video games, sort of all bets can be off. So, that's what my initial response to that.
Definitely think it's good to broaden the idea that these are plural kind of idea, medias. And so looking individualistically, you have to look how exactly are these mediums really perpetuating this idea of consumerism using the same ideology sexually, that it really all boils down to what is your purpose and how do you benefit this idea of the sale. And that's the idea of media, and living in a hypersexualized culture really boils down to the sex sells and how do you benefit the same idea as well as how do you fit within it.
Actually, alright, if someone can help me with the name of it, I can't believe I'm blanking on it. The new kind of supervillain movie coming out, but it's based off of like a comic series.
Suicide Squad.
Thank you. So I actually just read a really interesting thing and had an interesting conversation with someone about it. Kind of how like, why are supervillains or villains always portrayed as maybe like sexuality and gender like really ambiguous, or that they're able to be deviant in a way that the hero typically isn't. And you know, something that came up was talking about is that's kind of how a very, you know, kind of insidious way for folks to villainize any sort of like queer sexuality that doesn't match like what would be viewed as the norm. So heterosexuality, or you know, being within the binary. So I thought that was really interesting. And I think one thing to talk about, you know, I think I obviously don't really need to talk about kind of the different medias and things, and mediums, but some of the trends seen within movies and TV specifically are either kind of like the virgin whore dichotomy, or, you know, really hypersexualizing women of color and queer people. I don't know, I think this is a really big question to try to narrow down to like one specific thing, because I think, you know, it's so nuanced in so many different, you know, forms, but I don't know. Sorry, I think I might have been like asking more questions than really answering anything.
Just real quick, just maybe even if you can, what would you define as deviant sexuality in, let's say, television and film? Like, is there anything that's just not heterosexual?
No, not at all. So my area of expertise is in children's culture. I do most of my research on the things that we do to children. And I can tell you that we have developed, in the modern age, we have developed into a highly pedophilic culture. Highly pedophilic. We have sexualized children, particularly girls, all the way down into the single digits at this point. And not just through sort of broadcast media, but also through material culture and consumptive media. So you go, I have a 10-year-old, you go to the store to buy her clothes, as I did yesterday. There are hot pants and miniskirts in a size 8, and that's a child's 8. That's problematic. That's problematic in our culture for a variety of reasons. And the reason why those things exist is because those are the kinds of fashions that we see in media, on our television. You watch shows that are aimed at the tween market, between 8 and 12. You watch those television shows, and turn the volume off and you watch how particularly girls on the